this is Kitten Features, and you're listening to Show X Live with Ken in a student accommodation all the way in Scotland, and Wayne in his white windowless van? Uh-oh, I better get out of here. Enjoy the show!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Show X on VTWProductions.com. You're listening live at 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT on this Sunday, the 17th of December, 2017. Welcome, everybody. Glad you can join us for the show today. And welcome, Ken. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm okay, my man. I'm not too bad. We're here. We managed on time, even though I think we were both a little unprepared for today.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm good, sir. How are you? How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing well. So many things happening. As we were both like writing in show notes and things like this on all the things we've been up to, and gosh, I'm actually now just realizing all the things I've been doing recently. But yes, we'll catch this and get going with it. So, welcome to the show, and let's go ahead and start things off with a little bit of
functional deviations.
So, Ken, what have you been doing that hasn't been geeky this week with dysfunctional deviations?
A few things. So first of all, I want to give a shout out to the art contest. You guys know the spiel. I'm not going to do it every single week. Go check it out on the forums. Take part. It's good fun. So I was thinking, actually, I sort of only just realized, it's 6 days till my flight, my flight to Geneva. I can't believe it's
nice. Wow.
Just Christmas in general has kind of crept up on me, honestly.
Oh, no,
I've just kind of forgotten that it's coming up.
Yeah, it is happening. It is going on. In fact, yes, I have discussions to have about Christmas and things that have been going on. So yes.
But it's supposed to be in a few weeks' time, though, right? Like not
next week.
Yeah, not like 8 days. It's supposed to be in like 3 weeks, right? That's what it was yesterday, I think. What happened? Where'd all the time go? It's terrifying.
It happens. Well, we keep talking about it, right? Every year it feels like it's faster and faster each year. All of a sudden you're like, holy crap, it is time for the end of the year already? But it's 2017. What have I done this year? And so
don't do anything that.
Oh no, it happens every time. I feel your pain. And so yes.
That's just sadness, that thought. I don't want to think about that.
It is not so bad.
Well, it's not in general, but I mean, like, whenever somebody asks me, like, what have you guys done in the past year? I instantly think of work, and then I think, oh, I've not done enough. That's what I've done. It's not enough.
Yeah.
And then I cry to myself.
I know how that goes. I understand that feeling, but no, you've done better than that, sir. It is all good. Mm-hmm. But in not worrying about, like, the year so far in our year in review, what have you been doing in the last week?
Yes, we're not quite there yet. That's true. So what have I been doing as well as what I am going to do? Yeah, like I was saying, I'm going to Geneva in 6 days, and that's nuts. I can't believe it's coming so quickly. So I plan to be here next week, but we'll see. I'll be on my phone, and it's the first time we've really done that in a long while. And it depends on the Wi-Fi, and it depends if the family say we're all going out now, let's go do something. I can't be like, no. See you guys later.
No,
By the way, thanks for letting me use your house. No, I don't think I can really do that. So.
I think if you preempt everybody and right from the beginning say, hey, by the way, I've got some things that have to happen, I think it's okay.
Sure, but it's a thing of politeness. It's a thing of they're hosting me, and if they have plans for what everybody's doing, I'm not going to try and disrupt those plans by doing something else, right? So we'll see. I plan to be on the show. I'm just saying, if there's something like they're like, oh, we waited till for the day after you guys arrive to do something big, and it's tonight. We've planned it, and we spent lots of money for this, for us all to enjoy this thing. I'm not going to be like, no.
But my fans, right? You don't understand.
But there are 3 people who are semi-dedicated and listening to me talk on the internet. I can't disappoint them.
Right? Right.
So yeah, we've got that going on, and I think I'm gonna. Oh geez, how long am I gonna be there for? I'm gonna be there for the next 2 shows at least. But to be fair, in 2 weeks' time, it's actually Hogmanay. It's New Year's in 2 weeks' time.
Even quicker, keeps coming up.
Yeah. So, are you going to be doing a show on Hogmanay, sir? What's your plan?
Well, wait. So New Year's, is it going to be the day of? Because no. So that's the evening before. So yeah, the 31st is not an issue because all the celebrations are in the evening.
True.
And so I don't believe there'll be a challenge.
So it is evening
there.
for me, right?
Yeah, that's right. For you, it's evening. It's already going into yours. So I may, and we'll see. Maybe I'll
forward another hour for me. So the show's going to be at 8 p.m. for me now.
Oh gosh. Wait. Why is that? Oh, because you'll be further east, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. Because you're not going to be around. Okay, so that's good to note, and it's fine if you don't. I can probably set something up here locally where I'm sure, as always, my friends are willing to jump in, and it may be a preemption because for me, it's noon. It's middle afternoon, and my plans don't start until like 9 or 10 o'clock in the evening with a lot of potential lead time of prepping for it. So who knows? I may have a whole day of like people coming over and prepping for the night's festivities, so we'll see. But
we're going to a party. But obviously, I'm not the one driving or anything, and I'm not gonna. Again, same thing. I'm not gonna be like, sorry, I'm gonna miss Hogmanay because I gotta go to the show. So I'll probably have to go and do that thing, that whole celebration thing.
Yes.
But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe we won't leave till like 10:30 or something. I don't know. I don't know what the plan is exactly.
Now, do not feel like you need to be here. Feel like you go enjoy the family and the festivities. I understand.
Yeah.
I need to give you as much option for this because at some point I'm going to be bringing like a slew of people over with me to come visit you again. And so I need to make sure there's enough goodwill that
Pulling all the favors. Pulling all the favors.
That way your wife's like, oh no, it's okay. But yes.
Yeah. Right, so... Other than that, my next week's still kind of busy because I've been doing a lot of work trying to just do my hours and then some days and evenings at the workplace due to the fact that basically what my next phase for the paper I'm working on is I need to do testing, and that's going to take a couple of weeks of server time, which is fine. That's not a problem. The issue is when I leave on Friday, that'll be me gone for a couple weeks, right? So that'll leave my testing up until the deadline. And really, I'm supposed to be able to mostly work on analysis at that stage, right? And if I don't have actual results till later, that's not going to work. So, my plan is to try and get that all done as soon as possible in the next 5 days, get it all started, and and hopefully I'll be ahead of the curve. Otherwise, I'll be remote desktoping in from Geneva trying to get work done over Christmas, and I'd rather not do that.
No.
Yeah.
You need to enjoy your time. Do not work. No.
Well, I'm going to have to do some work. It's just how much I'm going to do is the question. And lastly, the last thing I want to talk about is, last night, Kitten and myself went out because Dr. K came to visit Scotland again.
Nice.
We had a great time. He was very kind, and so it was basically a boys' night out. Him and his friends were meeting up in Edinburgh, and he invited us along. And I thought it was just going to be like a lunch in between him seeing his friends sort of thing. But he actually wanted us to tag along with them, and all of them. And so we did. And the first thing we went to was the Royal Scottish Whiskey Society thing, and it was this really fancy looking bar. And I was like, wow, this is probably the fanciest bar I've ever been in. And they said, it's a bit crowded, and they sort of nodded at each other, and one of them like nodded at the waitress or something, and she went, through here, gents. And I was like, what's going on here? And it turns out they have like a members room in the back like members.
Yeah,
turns out they were all members, and they just sort of like said we could come in. And it was fine. And so we got this like private little room in the back where they came and served us individually and everything. And we drank some very fine whiskey.
Nice.
Probably a little bit lights for my nose because I was just like, this is great. And they were like, oh, what do you think about the tones? And I'm like, yeah, it's definitely alcoholic.
It's like, wait, tones? What do you mean tones? Yeah.
They look over and it's all my glass, No, I'm kidding. I wasn't shotting it. But no, I took all their advice. They were like, "Oh, add a little bit of water to this one, and then and taste it beforehand, and then taste it afterwards, and see the difference." And I was like, "Oh, wow, you're right. Well, water really does help in some cases."
Nice.
And they're like, "Yeah," and they said it's actually because some of the whiskeys are made to be kind of concentrated, so that you can have like, basically you have more the same amount of liquid in the bottle, but it lasts longer because you have to add water to it. And it brings out the flavor and the scent and such or whatever. So.
Oh yeah, no. Sometimes you want a little bit of ice is perfect. Sometimes a splash of water just to open up the whiskey or the scotch and let it breathe properly. There's lots of different things that can help really expand the palate, which is nice if you really are exploring and enjoying whiskey and scotch, any alcohol really.
Yeah, so it was good fun. We did that, and we went out and had some food, and not my choice of place, but we went to a where was it? It was like a vegetarian cafe, I suppose, restaurant cafe. And it was been there since 1962, I think. So it's quite an old place, and yeah, it was interesting. I had the vegetarian haggis, and I gotta say, I chose it because I've never had a good one. I've never had good vegetarian haggis. So my plan was...
Yeah, that sounds like something as an impossibility, because haggis by itself is supposed to be like all the little meaty bits stewed up and things.
It's also a lot of blood is in there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's so many bits. It's not just like a solid piece of meat. And so to try to recreate that without any meat, it seems wrong.
It's different. And I've never had it done well. Until last night, and it was actually very tasty. Like, I think if vegetarian food always tasted like that to me, I probably wouldn't have a problem being vegetarian. Like, honestly, it was good.
I've run into that because the only place I've ever had vegetarian food that was like significantly good was at a wedding. Friends of mine's wedding, one of the first ones I actually photoed way back in the day. They had a full vegetarian meal, and with it, one of the ones they had was lasagna. And for me, that was like, what? How do you do vegetarian lasagna? Because sausage and meat. And it was one of the best lasagnas I'd had, but it was also catered by a place, right? And so it wasn't like someone just had a recipe and they did it. That would be amazing, but that's not what happened. And so I don't think I've ever had since then as good a vegetarian meal. And so it still doesn't even register to me as something I would try to do.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. Like, in the end, and this is an absolute truth. This is a complete truth. We get most of our flavor, and if you look, you can tell by looking at this any spice rack. We get most of our flavor from vegetables and herbs, right? Like that's kind of the point in herbs. We get almost all of our flavor from that, and the meat is kind of just the more for texture than anything. Don't get me wrong, I love the taste of meat, but it is bland without herbs, etc. And that's why, in my opinion, we need both, right? I'm not saying we should just eat meat.
They definitely add to it. Yeah, they definitely add to it. Now, I will tell you, a well-cooked meat that is properly taken care of and stuff doesn't necessarily need much spice, but it's rare that you get that. And so
yeah, and plus, just even like a tiny bit of salt or a little bit of pepper.
Yep.
Like that's one of my favorite things to do. Like, if people underestimate, like I know it's like the most popular seasoning in the world, salt and pepper, but people really underestimate it. I mean, if you just get a little bit of salt and pepper and like you're cooking a bit of fish, be it like haddock or something, or cod, just cover it in a little bit of tiny bit of salt all over it, then like loads of pepper. I love pepper. And put some like tin foil around it and eat that. Oh man, brilliant!
So
brilliant. It is such a simple meal. So simple, so it's fairly healthy as long as you don't lather it in salt too much, and it's delicious. Otherwise, get some like concentrated lemon oil and just bash it with that first. Loads of lemon oil, then a little bit of salt and pepper. Great. So simple to do and just absolutely delicious. But anyway, like I was saying, the vegetarian food can be really good because of the fact that it is mainly flavor, right? Like if you can do the flavoring right, you'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll still be enjoyable. The problem is that a lot of the vegetarian stuff I have is very corn-like, very corn-heavy, and I just find corn to be so bland. And it's like they want to focus on that, like, oh, it's so much like meat because it tastes like nothing. And I'm like, you're wrong on so many levels.
Yeah.
It's because meat does taste good, and this doesn't taste like meat. So yeah. So that was enjoyable. What else did we do? We ended up, we got quite drunk. A fair bit more drunk than we planned to, I think. But it was a good time. Yeah. But that's been my past week. How about you, sir? What have you been up to?
Oh golly. So let's see. What have I been doing? So I had told last time I made and got everyone together to make Christmas cookies and such, which was great and fun and have all this frosting and stuff. The challenge is most of them didn't take them home. And so I've stuck with Christmas cookies in my house, which has totally meant that I have not been on my diet for the last week plus. And I'm worried about that. I'm afraid I haven't even got on the scale, but I feel the belly, and it's like, oh, there's too much there. I need to get back to keto. I'm worried because when I bought my tuxedo for New Year's Eve, it was really based on the fact that I'd lost so much weight. And so I need to make sure I will still fit into it come New Year's Eve, which is a challenge because I still got Christmas coming up, darn it. And so I'm hoping like this week I'll be good. And then I can get back down before next weekend and into Christmas, and then...
That's the difficulty with having such a diet that is so harsh and so difficult.
It normally isn't. It's just it's holidays.
If it's the kind of yeah, I know. But if it's the kind of diet that you can fall off the bandwagon with, that's not good. Ideally, you want a kind of holiday that you can't fall off the bandwagon.
Well, so I could have been better and chosen not to eat Christmas cookies. Or, I don't know, going over, because one of the beautiful things is this being Christmas season as a whole, I've had the opportunity to hang out with several different groups kind of doing Christmassy things. So that's just been in general doing the cookie thing, and now it lingered into a whole week at work of like 3 different days of Christmas celebrations at work with different groups. I only partook of 2 of them. The first one being a challenge because it was the foreigners, all the foreigners that came over. That I work around, they did a celebration, and so with that, they provided a lot of treats that we don't normally provide and have. One of my favorites was the Canadians brought buttered tarts.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Oh my God, were they good!
Define tarts.
So
I don't mean as in like.
Well, you know, there's these girls that you sometimes run into on an off day, depending on where you're traveling and about. That, you know...
I've never heard the term buttered before, though. That's a new one to me.
Well, that's kind of a southern type of tart. No. So this butter tart, essentially it was a little crust of a bowl, and they were very small, kind of small dish type things, with a reduced, like, buttered and brown sugar kind of concoction in the middle of it. And the whole thing kind of had a glaze on the breading, or the kind of the crust was a bit of like a buttered crust on it as well, if I say it right. I mean, it was so good, it's hard to really... I would have to look up how it was really made versus just what my mouth said. Because my mouth said ambrosia and was just really happy. And I was surprised with how delicate the crust, like as you bit into it, the sauce in the middle of it, or the kind of the filling, was kind of a... It wasn't really gooey, but it had a softness to it. And as you bit into it, the whole thing kind of just melted into my mouth. And was phenomenal. Like, yeah, it was so good. And that, and just like the Brits provided some scones and stuff, as well as like eggnog and a few other things, and the Aussies had a little bit of stuff that they were showing off. It was really tasty, but nice. Right away I was like, well, I have to participate. I can't not have some of this, and so that was killing diet. Then my local group, all brought in stuff for food, and so I had brought in the cookies that we'd made because I was like, please eat cookies so I don't have as many. And then... but other people had like meatballs, but they were like barbecue meatballs, and so the sauce on that was sugary, and all these other bits where I was just like, well, it wouldn't be polite if I were to just, not eat everything people provided me. Well, that would be rude. And so I have definitely been off the diet. Leading into, again, Christmassy things all about, because I am a sap for Christmas, I've realized. My station on my radio in my car has been on KS 101, I think, was it 101.7? Whatever it is, it's the station that from the beginning, like the moment Thanksgiving ends to the end of November, all they do is play Christmas music 24/7.
Ugh.
And I love it. It is so terrible.
I'm just so sick of it. I'm so bored of it already.
I don't get sick of it. I love it.
I wish they at least made more each year. It feels I don't hear new Christmas music every year.
Well, so here's the nice thing.
It's only the most popular stuff.
With this station, they do, because they reach all the way back to some stuff from like the 40s and 50s, and kind of the stuff like Dean Martin, like people that you kind of just their voice. Perry Como and like some of the classic artists from back in the day. And then you'll hear stuff that's very modern, that, Josh Groban when he did his album, and some of the more modern artists that are right here. And so some songs that are just modern renditions of classic songs, some are actually newer Christmas songs. And so because it's the station does it, at least this one is so dedicated to it, I hear new music as well, but I also hear some of the same music probably each day, at least once during the day. One of the big ones for me that I really love and will not feel bad about it is Linus and Lucy, which is the Charlie Brown one, which they always play around the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That kind of whole sound that goes with. It's from Charlie Brown. And they do it around the Charlie Brown music stuff. Christmas special things, but the music from it to me is just so memorable. And it's great because they play the whole song. Where normally you'd only ever hear like the intro part. This one they play the whole thing. It's so good. And so I'm happy every time it comes on. But I'm a sap for Christmas. And I was talking to some friends even recently that I wanted to set up a thing to go Christmas caroling. To actually go out and sing to people and such. And I'm mad or a little sad because as I was doing this at one of the parties I've been here recently, I'll try to get through them all. I actually went and I went to a Christmas thing last night, and while I was there, some of the people were talking about it. I mentioned that I wanted to go caroling. Like, oh, we do caroling. Ours is going to be next Friday. You should come. And I was like, but I'm going to be out of state next Friday. Darn it. Doing other Christmas things. And so I was just like, I was sad and happy at the same time that people do it, and they just make a big deal of it. Because as terrible as I am at singing, you've all heard it. I love these things. I really do. Also, as I'm mentioning this thing, I thought about singing. I have to mention a very happy birthday to Vanessa, Kuro's girlfriend. It is her birthday.
Yes.
And so definitely wanted to do a happy birthday to her. And I will spare you guys the singing of it this time. But Christmas with friends. So I'm off the diet because of all the food I've been having, but some of the things I've been doing to get ready for it is that I've had the opportunity to kind of linger or be around other people's Christmas events, as well as some that are kind of friend Christmas things. So my friend Hyde, that has been on the show and such, her family all got to congregate over the weekend together, and they were gracious enough to let Zenko Akko and I kind of join in on them. We had set up a thing that I'll talk about next, a presentation that we gave to Hyde earlier in the day up towards where she lives. And from there, she invited us back to her family's home, and we were able to spend the day kind of hanging out with them. It led into and kind of balanced with, they had all these things together, and like family and extended family together doing Christmassy things. So we got to participate in some like having a big, essentially Christmas dinner and kind of games and hanging out and just socializing with all of these people, which was a ton of fun. So there was that Christmas celebration. Another one, the one I went to yesterday, so all the stuff at work. And then yesterday's was friend Toby throws one where last year was actually much bigger, but he throws an event where he actually sets up like a blanket and cushion fort in the living room, like what you would do as a kid kind of thing, with pillows and stuff all laid out underneath it, and invites everyone over, and you bring a little gift for Toby, and Toby always provides gifts for us, and then his little local friend group all share their gifts and kind of do their little pre-Christmas thing there.
That's sweet.
And just puts on the cheesiest Christmas movies, like that you'd ever want. So when I got there, when I arrived, was playing like the old animated Frosty the Snowman kind of thing from like way cheesy. Back, right? It's classic. You see, like, yeah, I grew up with this. I know this. Had the fort up, and then he always makes a mulled cider, like a really nice apple cider with various spices and stuff, and it's beautiful. And this time actually did a really neat thing. Had a bunch of mugs, and in the past had made mugs that you could take home as a gift, but this time and had little chalk pens to write your name on them. So on like the actual mug that you'd use for the hot cider, you could write your name in chalk. And so instead of like where you do solo cup and permanent ink for drinking, this was like a temporary name that you could keep your glass sorted for mugs and such. It was great. But did that and just hung out, ate amongst kind of friends and people I don't get to hang out with nearly enough. Celebrating Christmas that way. And Toby's tree is gorgeous. It's like all like, green tree, but all the decorations are kind of silver and white. That very frosted kind of look, and just to the T. Really nice. And oh gosh, if Toby doesn't know how to wrap gifts. All of us felt bad opening the gifts because they were so pretty. Like ribbon and just the wrapping paper and how well done it was. Like basically Toby said
sounds like he really loves Christmas to really put in that much effort.
Absolutely does. Like ridiculously does. And so big celebration. So I'm very happy that I got to participate in that. As well as I brought a little bottle of wine and we all ate and were merry, essentially. And so that was a ton of fun. And watched, what is it, Jim Henson's... It is loosely a Christmas movie, I will say. It's a Christmas movie, but loosely. It was Jim Henson's, like, Beavertown Jug Band something. So it was an old Jim Henson puppet movie where the main characters are beavers in it, and somehow, like, this mother and son, beaver, and they're poor as all get out. Dad is passed away. Used to be a snake oil salesman and literally never sold anything and just terrible. And it was just weird. Like, it was kind of cute and fun because it's Jim Henson. But at the same time, the story is all about how absolutely poor they are and how they make poor decisions where they want each other to have a good holiday. And so they just give up something that's special to them to try to have money to present and be part of this event that they could win more money. And they do it without talking to. It's an interesting story, but odd. And then we ended up with watching Elf before I had to leave. Which
that's a classic
Elf,
as well, man.
Is one of the best modern Christmas shows that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look. Hando got it. Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. See? He knew. Yeah. I had never seen it. Or I had seen a scene of them coming in on a little rowboat on the river initially. But the rest of it I did not recognize. And so watched it. And good job, Hando. But yes. So watched that. It was totally cute and just Christmassy and exchanged gifts. I feel like I need to give Toby more gifts. I need to get his Steam name so I can get some on that. But because he also just recently, one of the gifts he got from a good friend of his was a brand new 1070. So can't feel bad about getting a new gaming graphics card for Christmas. But knowing
nice.
that it's like, I'm going to have to give you some more games to play then. That was a ton of fun. Other things that I've been doing that have been geeky this week so much is I've had an opportunity to help some friends, which is nice. Always fun. One of which is what actually brought me up to what I said we were hanging out up with Hyde, is we actually sat down with Hyde and we came up with a presentation, something that Akko and I are hoping, Zenko, Akko and I are hoping to transition into a presentation we can give at conventions. And so that we go in and do a panel ourselves that people can come listen to us talk as though we know things. But the presentation we basically were putting together for Hyde and for friends is that how or can you take something that you currently exist as a hobby and turn it into a business, into a job, potentially a profession, and then eventually a business that you could even walk away from and still make money off of. And so in doing so, we were kind of coming from the mindset that a lot of the conventions we go to, there's a bunch of people there in Artist Alley and at the dealer's room who are selling little things they create and baubles they have and stuff like that. And we've seen how they do it, and we realize a lot of them are doing things that are not the most well thought out. Like, they're successful in that they're able to manage it, but a lot of them don't have their pricing structure down right. A lot of them don't do taxation correctly and are leaving themselves open to risk.
That's a scary one as well. You don't want to get that wrong.
Yeah. Well, and admittedly, a lot of them are small enough that they may fly under the radar forever and not actually have to answer up to the tax man, to the government. But what we're trying to provide is information about how people can do things so that they stay on the right side of everything and allow themselves to have the potential for more success. Meaning preparing you to actually get big enough that the government cares. And make sure you do it in a way that you're ready for them and that you don't actually get yourself in trouble.
Yeah.
And so we have this whole presentation we're working on. We tailored it specifically to Hyde at this point to talk about some things that she's interested in and to see if these are things that you could do as actual job and profession. And we're going to expand it out. Essentially, we created a company that we are going to work on as a consulting firm for people on business building. And so I've been playing with that, and it was a lot of fun. When we did it, it ended up being like a 2-hour presentation we had with slides and everything and projected. We went to a facility that we were able to share space in and actually presented as a very business-oriented thing. Dressed up, suit, tie kind of thing. And here's a presentation on you can turn what you love into a job, into a business. Anyhow, so doing something like that.
So also, you've started actual companies, and meaning that you've actually signed paperwork and
we haven't filed anything
official
yet. No, haven't filed anything yet for that.
Okay.
We just have the structure of it all set up because we haven't actually gone down and set up our own business plan yet. We were kind of in a time crunch, and so this was kind of our. We've come up with a name, we've come up with a logo, we've come up with some things we want to do with it, but we haven't turned the key on it yet because this was kind of our practicing what we're going to do with it.
Sure.
But we had a time crunch. We wanted to get it and present to Hyde before the end of the new year and before transition into next steps of what she'll be doing. So it's kind of timing thing. That means we have it there, but we haven't turned all the keys and cranks to make it fully functional yet. But I think it's potentially going to go great. We'll see what it does. The other thing, though, is...
all I would recommend is make sure with all of your workplaces that there's no conflict of interest clause.
F them. There's nothing
I've been in the ass something similar before, and it's not
the way mine works. I got no worries. I got no worries because nothing I'm doing even comes close to what I do for work. And so,
well, I did a photography thing working as somebody who did IT, and I got in trouble. And I was like, how does that relate? And they said, well, we might one day ask you to do photography. And I was like, I don't know how that makes any sense because that's not in my contract.
Yeah, so my company, nothing like that.
I still got in trouble for it though. So, and point being is just be
No.
careful.
My company, no worries. It's one of those that if they try to tell me anything, I'd be like, all right, I guess I'm gonna go do my own job. Bye. No. I got no concerns with that because I do very specialized work, and this is not. This is so different. So yeah, I'm not worried about that. But I appreciate the kind of things you want to make sure that you don't mess yourself up with, which will also incorporate in your future.
Potential colleagues should also be aware as well.
So he's a lawyer. I got no worries.
Okay, that's cool. Okay,
that's
fine.
Yeah, nah.
He knows all about that then.
I'm good. We've talked about all these kind of things. This is partially why we get into this, is that we're coming from a much more business-oriented and legalese sense than what most people come off of, which is hopes and dreams. Because a lot of people try to start a business because they really like something, and they never think about what it takes to actually make it a truly sustainable business. And that's where they get in trouble. And essentially, the quick note of it is most people essentially have hobbies that they may be able to somewhat pay for their own hobby, but they'll never live off it. And so that's kind of just where we come from. Anyhow, so that was that piece. The other piece, and you've heard me talk about it before, is Guildhall Galatea. And so I've also had the opportunity where with Zenko Akko, they've run into some struggles where things they're going to have to deal with in life here. Some various things have kicked out. I've had the opportunity to give them some access to my house to store some things and do some stuff to hopefully make things easier for them to make some decisions coming up here. But in doing so, I currently have in my possession, and I'll get into more specifics in Geek Cred, we have 6 3D printers in my house right now. Of which one is actually plugged in and doing anything. The others have potential. But I have 6 3D printers sitting around right now. There's that. But anyhow, so that's most of what I was thinking about of what I've been doing that hasn't been geek this week. I'm trying to think if there's anything else around that. I think that covers it for the most part, at least everything I need to talk about. So, with that, I think we'll be good to go ahead and switch us over and say...
I'm a geek. Are you a geek? Geek Cred, level up!
And actually focus on talking about a few things geek. So, Ken, on the geek front, what have you been doing?
So, first of all, I'd like to talk a little bit WoW. I've been enjoying playing my Demon Hunter on and off. I'm happy to say that doing just the casual playing I've been doing, it's just the way WoW is nowadays, right? It's quite easy to get loot. I'm very happy to say that I have an item level of 901 on my character now, including 2 legendary items.
Nice.
Which are modern legendaries, not like previous expansion legendaries. Although I do have one Warglaive of Azzinoth in my bank on my Demon Hunter, which is cool. I'm looking forward to one day getting the second and be able to walk around with the actual original Warglaives. You know, that'd be cool. So far I can only do 1, which isn't as cool. He only have 1. But it is nice to see it in my bags there occasionally. But anyway, so I now have two item level 1000 legendaries, being the Cloak of Fell Flames and Synidaria, the Symbiote. So they're both, one's tanky and one's DPS, but the DPS one's kind of tanky too because it's based on, it gives you health and stuff, or heals you as well. So they're fairly nice, and they've really pulled my item level up quite high. So considering I play very loosely, I don't raid. I just basically play when I'm waiting on something to run in the background or something. And I maybe I'm doing like an hour a week or something. That makes me feel happy that I've managed to actually have some kind of success there. Hando says, I think Ken is a higher item level than me now.
Oh no.
Possibly. That is cool. It's because when I play, I don't just walk around and chill out. I have very specific, like, okay, I've got like 50 minutes. What can I do in 50 minutes? What is the most efficient thing I can do in 50 minutes? And I'm like, well, I can maybe do this one specific dungeon I need for this quest, which will give me whatever, right? Also, make the most of the Caverns of Time events, like the time walking events, because the like if your item level isn't great, that can really bump you up quite quickly. Basically, usually there's a quest available in Dalaran where if you do 5 time walking dungeons, you get like 500 time walking tokens or whatever. And you can buy like 5 pieces of time walking gear for like 100 tokens. So it's really cheap, and you can really bump up your item level that way.
Oh, nice.
Which is what I did. And plus, I'm playing a tank, so if I wanted to go do a dungeon, I do a dungeon straight away. There's no queue for me, so it was just nice. So other than that, because that's really all I've done in WoW, just pretty much get the one item, which is cool. The other thing I really want to talk about was D&D, because I think, like I said, I want to kind of make this more part of the show now that since we both kind of play, at least on and off. I'd like it if we could talk more about about D&D in general. And so I had a lot of fun on Tuesday. So far, the sort of stuff we've done in the game has been very combat-oriented and not very much in the way of, like, diplomacy or bluffing or, humans are barely involved either. It's pretty much all just people who are monsters and stuff, right? Like undead and if there's ever a person, there's somebody that's just, like, leading a bunch of undead and we have to kill them quickly or they'll kill us. So there's really no time to chat whatsoever in the game. Or use any of those skills, and that's quite a shame because my character I really built based on diplomacy, and support, not so much on combat. So I can do some stuff. I'm sort of like, hey, I can buff you guys and help a lot, and that's cool, and I enjoy it. But I really wanted to do something else, and we got into this silly situation where basically we were in this single room with a corridor next to it and no doors because we got teleport in there. And we were there to save this guy, some librarian or whatever, some kind of scholar dude, and he was like, "Oh, I had a group of adventurers I hired." So in Legend of Korra, when there's that one library that has like all the knowledge of like everything in it.
Ish, yeah.
I think it's Legend of Korra. It might be Avatar. I can't remember. I think it's Avatar actually. Okay. Yeah. Well. And it's the same idea. Is that this is like that kind of library? It's like a really old library full of like loads of stuff, and full of knowledge. And this one scholar hired some people to help him find it and protect him while he's there, etc. And now they're all dead, right? So his team, which was there to help him, all died, and he's waiting in this room waiting for his death. And then we appeared out of like a portal or whatever, and he was very thankful that we were there, and he was like, Please help us. If you go out there, you're going to pretty much die, though, because there's like a bunch of giant demon-y bug undead things flying through the air that are quite terrifying. Please don't open the door, sort of thing. So we looted the room, as is the smart thing to do, and then we decided to go out. And the first thing we saw was one of these creatures he described. There was only one of them. There wasn't like a hive as we expected, and we managed to take it down eventually.
Nice.
Though it was quite difficult because it was a single like lane. There's like so it was really difficult to get past each other because this thing had really good checks and stuff. So if we tried to like get past it, it would all try to stab us and stuff.
Gotcha.
So we managed to take it down, and I look around and I was one of the very front, and so they said, "All right, so what do you want to do?" And my character's name's Trig, and so Trig, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I want to roll disguise. And they're like, you don't have a disguise. I was like, there's that corpse right there. And they were like, you want to try putting on that like surely they said to me, surely you can. It's like a medium, it's like a big creature, isn't it? And then we looked at the stats and I was like, no, it's a medium-sized creature and I'm a small creature, which gave me some kind of bonus to it or whatever, I guess. I don't know. But it was easy. And so I got a really good roll. And the DM was like, Jesus, okay, well, you can't fly. You haven't learned how to fly, but you sort of like limp along in it somehow convincingly.
One of my favorite things about role-playing games as a whole, and admittedly, my group, we were trying to just get in the flow of it, and we haven't done it probably as well as we could yet, but is when you start to do things a little odd, or a little bit, unexpected.
Unconventional, yeah.
And you roll well, thus causing the DM to have to bring it in, right? To have to figure out a way to utilize it and say, huh, okay, so you did that.
So, thankfully, just the way that I've built my bard is very good in the bluff, etc. So even though it's useless against most creatures due to the fact that, you can't be diplomatic with like a bug, for example, thankfully, my skills came in very useful when it came to my disguise checks. And so every time they like these bugs saw me, or any creature in this dungeon saw me, they'd look. And they'd always fail to recognize that, one, it was a dead creature, like, oozing blood everywhere, and two, that it was walking instead of flying, and three, that it was like a tiny little gnome inside, like, dragging this corpse along.
That's great.
Yeah, it was good. It was really funny. And, yeah, I managed to play the rest of that entire dungeon with this freaking stupid bug for a costume.
Oh, gosh.
It lowered my speed by like half, but I didn't care because I was like, well, I'm not in combat, and everybody else is, so it doesn't really affect me. So I was just the scout. I just ran ahead, looked around, pretended that I was like, every time I was told to be, every time I was told it was my turn, I was like, I make buzzing noises and sort of walk around the room. I like make weird chittering noises, and the DM was quite funny because he was like, oh, well, you have to do an impression. You can't just do it.
Yeah.
You know,
mean, what kind of noises?
And if you do a really good impression, you might even get a little bonus, you know, or if it's really bad, you might get a negative. And I was like, all right, I sort of go bzzz, and some sort of chittering noise, like. He was like, okay, you get like a +1 or whatever. I was like, yes.
That's funny.
It's the way it's all about having fun in the end, isn't it? So
definitely.
I think everybody enjoyed that. And yeah, even when we got in combat in this tiny little room, I walked in first. And it turns out that one of them did actually spot me, but everybody else killed it so quickly that it didn't like alert anybody else that I wasn't one of them or whatever.
Nice.
But it was just so ridiculous and fun, and we just all really enjoyed this dumb, stupid, dead corpse man thing walking around, and everybody just looking at it like, how is this still working? Why have you not been spotted yet? Why you're like
entertaining.
Yeah, it was really fun. And yeah, we also got told that there's now a sort of wish list system. Our DM wants to do a wish list system.
Okay.
So we're going to look at like magical items that we all want, and we have to make a little list and give it to them. And it's not a case that we will get them, or even will get any of them. Maybe we might not get any, right? But this just means that occasionally he can be like, oh well, here you get this, you get something cool. It's just nice. Let's just know we can get something we want. But that's been my week in geek. I'm afraid that's all.
Oh no, but come on, D&D is definitely something that is geek every time, and I chuckle because when I was hanging out with Hyde's family and such, one of the things they were doing while I was there is rolling up character sheets for the next day where there was a family going to do a D&D crawl.
Aww.
Which was
nice.
Pretty like, what? That's awesome! I want to be part of this! So yeah, it's a good game. Role-playing's fun. I need to do more of it, and I feel a little bad that I don't. That I'm so busy doing so many things.
Yeah, they had 2 sessions this week, one on Tuesday, which I went to, and one on Wednesday, which was like our evil campaign sort of continued.
Yep.
But I just couldn't make it. I was like, I'm sorry guys, I can't do 2 nights a week. I'm just too busy. Like I'd love to, but you know, a D&D session takes hours. You know, it's not just like an hour, 2 hour thing.
And that's part of the challenge. It's like you want to give it your all, but to do so, it takes some time. Yeah, and so
it really does.
No, that's good though. That's good. That's because we haven't played for a while, my group, and I'm a little more excited to do so again after hearing more stories about like how people have played, where it's like, oh, well, shoot, I want to do all that. That sounds fun, right?
Yeah.
Gosh, because even that Hyde's brother Lance was like huge into D&D. He was running stuff, talking through things, and super excited. And I was just like, that is so cool. You know, I want that.
So what is your character by? I don't think we talked about that last week. What is your character?
Nothing special. Mine's a Dragonborn fighter. I'm as vanilla and easy as you can get. But part of the advantage of that, it makes it really easy to play it and do stuff with, and just roll into. So it is actually fun and cool to do, but it's as like the most default thing you could be other than a human fighter, I think. So
being the Dragonborn type thing, what kind of benefits does that have, or perks?
Dragonborn is fairly sturdy in that they tend to be tall, strong. Some of the benefits of that just being that they're Dragonborn. They also, by default, have an ability based on what color they are to have a resistance to something. Mine being a black dragon is resistance to poison. And and then or was it poison or acid? I think poison. But then I also can spit acid up to, 30 feet or something like that.
Oh, nice.
That it does, I forget how many die of damage it does. It's like 2d6 or something potentially. But,
that's pretty good.
And it's
area effect. I think it actually poisons them as well, yeah.
No, mine's just acid. Mine just burns them.
Okay.
But so it's gives you like a bunch of other little characteristics like that. Those are the main things. Plus, of course, you can speak Dragonborn common, and I'm trying to think what else. Plus, being a soldier, I have the ability that if I ever run into other soldiers and stuff and anyone from my old command, I have influence in those ranks.
That's useful.
Like that. I haven't gotten to a point where I've used it for anything yet, but those are some of the things with my character. And I don't do as well as I could have, or voicing him and getting kind of these other pieces to it so much as just playing him. And a lot of our stuff has been combat and out. I mean, we have had an entire day that was in town prepping to do something that took like all 4 hours we played, where we were just kind of what we were doing around town, trying to find more information, trying to find direction, where to go next, and upgrade our armor and weapons and stuff like that. And so it's interesting how D&D can go. And even that was still fun. It was just different.
It was fun, but I bet you're all itching to get going at the end of it, though.
To a degree, where it's like, no, we don't want it. We want to do these things, but it's still, And like, I want to almost participate in other campaigns. I've been invited to play with others, but I just don't have the time. Just like you're saying, I'm lucky if I can do the Sunday afternoons with a couple of my friends on occasion, but otherwise, I don't know. So who knows? Anyhow, besides D&D, what have I been doing? So, what order to take these in? Gaming-wise, I've still been playing, mostly because I haven't been on the computer to play, other than the game I'm trying to review right now, I've been playing Pokemon Go and Animal Crossing. With Pokemon Go, I'm sad because I still haven't done enough for, what is it? I haven't done enough like upgrades and stuff to be able to and get enough people around me to do any of the big events they have, because they have the whole point of where you can do raids now and go after bigger creatures and stuff.
Yeah.
And I've
Legendaries
done like
and such.
Yeah, I've done one raid that was basically by myself, and that failed horribly because I was trying to get a Ho-Oh, which is one of the it's one of the bigger type things. And that, I failed horribly. But it was the first time I'd had one close enough to me and I had time to try. The thing had like 50,000+ hit points. And I think after the time frame before it expired for how long you get to fight it, I might have gotten it down 2,000 hit points or something by myself. Like, it just did not work. You really, in a raid, need to have groups of people together. Some raids are smaller, because I saw like I want to say it was a Magikarp raid or something, where the Magikarp was only like 1,200 hit points, and I probably could have done it by myself. But I just didn't have time to stop. So, yeah, I've kind of been bouncing around with it, and it's got me out where I've been playing it more as I get out and around town and getting all the Pokestops and stuff, so I'm still playing Pokemon Go, and I enjoy it. I just need to like focus more on it so I could actually accomplish things. So there's a bit of a frustration along with actually enjoying it. Animal Crossing, on the other hand, is one you can mostly play on your own, and it kind of reaches out to other people you're friends with, and you require some friends to be able to.
I've been meaning to do that, actually. I keep forgetting to install that.
It is a basic game, and it's more of a, for me, toilet time or just random side thing, because nothing you're doing is challenging. It is kind of, you gather resources, clicking on a few things on the map, and in each area has some different resources. And then different characters in the game want some of the resources, and really what you're trying to buy / build and work through is higher levels of friendship with the other creatures in the game. And so be it you just talk to them and the text is read, and so you haven't talked to them yet that day, it increases their friendship level a bit. And if you give them some of the items they need, like the right fruits they want or something for a meal, then it ups your percentage of per level of how much they like you in friendship a bit more. And every time you get up to fill a full heart, essentially, it gives you a bonus point towards your level as a whole and increases their friendship level to the next piece and unlocks things in the process. And so really it's just that, and it's repetitive. And then there's little tweaks they do to it where it's like, if you want some of these characters you meet, although I think you can only have 6 at a time, maybe, you can buy things and put in your campsite that they would like. And they have genres where these characters are all about things that are cool. These characters are things that are naturey. These characters are things that are like soft or something, or comfy. And so you can build up and add these things to it to invite different people to hang out in your camp. And then you can go to the camp and you can talk to them all much faster there and help their needs instead of having to travel all around the realm interacting with them. And so it's very straightforward. It doesn't really take much any kind of thought process or effort, but it's there. And I've played that as well. Other thing is my Tamagotchi has died again. They have about a 2-week lifespan, maybe. I was trying to say 3, but I think it's closer to 2. And I am holding off on resetting him yet because last time it came up as the same potato creature I got the first time, and so I was a little disappointed. And I'm not trying to like revitalize him immediately. I'm also somewhat waiting to hear when all of my rest of my friends and their Tamagotchis die because we try to sync them up somewhat so that they're all doing similar things. In fact, 2 of my friends, Akko for one, used it as a way to what was it? She did it in such a way that her timing is slightly later than mine, like by a minute or 2. And so when when mine goes off for like it's time to go to bed or do something like that, she'll be like, "Oh, I better go find mine because that means I've got like 2 minutes before it's my turn." And uses it as a way to kind of like game the system. It's like, "Oh, I'm jealous. Why am I first?" But otherwise, it's just super simple because it is a just resource gathering and distribution game. It doesn't really do a whole lot, but it's cute, and I still basically enjoy it and still play it.
So, are you still playing Clicker Heroes at all, or any of those other
Clicker Heroes?
Ones?
I haven't touched Clickers in a long time. I've seen, I think, the original copy has gotten on there before, where I saw it come up on a couple different friends. And I was like, oh, that's cool that you guys are playing, but I have also realized I essentially have zero desire to.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really want to do Clicker Heroes again. Like, yay,
it's fine. One of those games that you feel like you should play, not that you want to, right?
No. And so that's been a struggle there, and I don't have enough time to play enough games, so it's kind of been and I'm not going to play a clicker game on my dang phone. God, no. That'd be dumb. So, anyhow, yeah, what little bit of games I had. All right. So that was Tamagotchi. Those are the 2 games I've mostly been playing on my phone. Beyond that, I was going to go up in the list and talk about 3D printer stuff. So, I've talked about before, 3 3D printers. Unfortunately, of those 3, none of them were working this last week or so. I had various issues. Part of it is I was trying to aggressively last week print pieces where I got some of them done. I have some of them that I have finished. But timing-wise, specifically, I was trying to build a helmet that I would use for going to see the new Star Wars film. And it was going to be a Praetorian Guard, which are the Crimson Guard that are around Grandmaster Snoke. Around
Yep.
And so in that, I created all this stuff, and yet at the same time, I designed it. I was gonna, with the 3 printers, hopefully at least 2 of them have it all printed out in time, because prints still take time. And I didn't. So I got pieces of it going, but I did one print where it came off the bed just slightly, or I had mistaken how the print was starting, and so I kind of was adjusting it, but I did it too late. And then I had to leave and go do other things. And what happened is that part of it stayed on the bed, but the big piece, it raised too high and totally did not adhere to the bed at all. And in doing so, it just kept pumping out plastic, and it kind of got caught on itself. And so instead of having what sometimes you'll get a big wispy nest of just filament, this one, the filament kept growing on itself, and so instead it became a big glob. And very much like, as Zenko Aka said, like Akira from the anime, when later in the thing his arm gets all, Tetsu's arm, or, yeah, not Kaneda, Tetsu's arm gets all crazy bulbous and like, where it looks like just a growth of things. Well, this is what I made with 3D printer filament. It was just like a growth of plastic. Probably would have been fine. It's happened before, except that it actually grew up above itself and ended up tying itself around all of my electronics for the printer. Like the thermistor, the heating element, all those things. And so when I went to clear it all, I actually ended up ripping out the thermistor that regulates and tells you how much heat the hot end is getting. And so it lets the system automatically regulate the heat of the hot end. So it doesn't go too high, too low, switches on and off as appropriate. Well, without a heating element, it won't even let you print for anything, or without a thermistor. It won't let you know because it has no idea what the temperature is, so it always goes to its fail-safe mode of I tried to heat it up, but I'm getting nothing. Or crossed wires where it says I'm getting max temperature because now the resistance is essentially 0 on it. And so I was printing it, got globulous, I tried to clean it off, and doing so ripped out the thermistor and it was broken. Same time, my heater element, my Robo R2, went out completely, where it reads the temperature, and I actually changed the thermistor on it to test it, but it reads the temperature, but it's not heating anything. And so I need to continue testing it to see if there's actually current coming through the part that feeds the heater element. So I have my little multimeter I need to check, but in the meantime, I just replaced the thermistor and tried it, and it's doing the same thing. So I've contacted Robo for that, and hopefully they will either send me a replacement part, or in the meantime, I'm hoping I can figure out how to fix it myself with parts I have. So we'll see. But in doing so, I have no luck.
That sucks. That's the big problem with 3D printing. That's the big problem with 3D printing, though, isn't it? Like, this seems to be like
still hobbyist.
Very common problem. Things keep breaking.
Well, and that's the problem. When I've had people ask me if they should get a 3D printer, I'm like, well, no. Unless you are willing to learn all these things, unless you are willing for things to go wrong, and you being able to fix it or rely on others to eventually fix it, no, you don't want a 3D printer. It's not like an inkjet printer where all you have to do is run a little cleaning sequence and put new ink in. This one, there's potential you'll have to disassemble half of the dang printer to get it all working. And so that's just kind of nature of the beast, but it's something to be aware of. And so that's been part of the thing I've been doing with 3D printers. Now with that, though, I have had some success in that going through old parts. Like I said, the thermistors, I was able to actually repair the thermistor that got pulled out on my R1 Plus from the glob, put a new one in there. I had all the little sleeves and stuff, put them all together, got it going, and it printed earlier today. And so I was about to put it's not currently printing, but I have more of my guard helmet. I'm going to try to print on it again. We'll see how that goes. So lots of little 3D printing things. Cool. Other than that, the big one, but I think I'll take a break first, as we're about to run out on the time here. And we'll come back with some more Geek Cred, and in doing that, hopefully we'll get our email in that's being teased at us from Serathis. It looks like he may have sent his new one in. There it is. So we'll come back with email from Serathis. Anyone else who wants to, over the break, send us an email and let us know what you've been up to, what your geek's been, or things you'd like us to discuss and talk about, we'll happily do so. And then we will be back after this. So this got a song that's about 4 minutes in here from OC Remix, from the artist Tepid. And this is a Legend of Zelda song. So listen to this, enjoy. And then after the break, I'll have a little bit more geek cred about something I've seen, but I have to be delicate what I talk about. And we'll read some emails. So with that, you're listening to Showx on VTWProductions.com. You're an hour in, an hour to go, and we'll be back with you right after this.
Send in your emails to showx at vtwproductions.com. listening to Show X on BTWProductions.com.
Hey everybody, welcome back. All right. So it's funny, as I was talking this, I'm getting messages and emails and things like this coming through to me, talking about all the things that are happening. And a comment from my nephew that, no, this is not keto-friendly food I'm eating right now. I have to finish off all the stuff from holidays before I can have keto again. I can't throw away food.
Oh God, no.
That'd be wasteful. That'd be terrible. No, my, as I was talking about Animal Crossing and the other one, my nephew, who's listening in, mentioned the Fire Emblem game that is also available on phones, which I had forgotten about, but was something that was played everywhere when I was in Japan. Everybody was playing it, and so it's one that maybe I'll have to at least check out. And so I'm looking now online as I'm like, Fire Emblem Heroes strategy RPG. Which I think, yeah, it's got 5-star rating essentially by everybody, and I know it's another one of these kind of time sync games, but people played the crap out of it. So maybe I'll acquire it. I don't know how much I'll play it, but it's supposed to be really pretty. So we'll see.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, iPhone X. I forgot how to do some of the things on this. Darn it! No, go back. It has little buttons like they did more things on this phone that allow you to click things to make it work because they got rid of the regular home button on the iPhone X.
Sure.
One of them is when you go to something that you want to purchase or grab something, instead of it just having like you just click the little home button, put your thumb on it, it actually has it where you kind of hit the side button, the power button twice to confirm. That's weird.
Yeah.
Learning new phones and gestures and things. Challenges. Anyhow, continuing on. All right. So, coming out of the break, we have an email. And now that we have the proper email coming to us from our friend Serathis, it starts out, it says Geek Cred for Reals. So, appropriate Geek Cred. Dear Crew X, just a short Geek Cred update. Geek Cred level down? I bought a new phone in summer and it sucks. While my previous Elephone brand, I haven't heard of it either, was an excellent dollar per value piece of tech, this new S7 is not. It just doesn't seem to work the way I want it to. So I bought one of these Maze Alpha phones, yet another Chinese no-name brand phone, but apparently this one is a powerhouse. So here's hoping I won't get screwed over again. So there's a level of challenge that I don't hear from as many people, is the whole going so far as to put risk into your phone, into what smart device you carry with you.
Well, the thing is, the Chinese phones are often quite a bit cheaper as well, especially compared to, for example, iPhones. But I have quite a few friends who have now been going into the sort of Chinese markets just because they're sick of it being a two-party system almost. It's very monopolized right now.
It definitely is.
And I think that there's been a lot more people moving towards the Asian phones out there because, you know what, they have nice screens, they've got nice processors, different operating systems, or sometimes they just have the base Android one, and just from a different maker, though, and a lot cheaper. So why not, right? What's the problem with it?
Well,
I think it's a good thing.
Oh, no, it's one that, it's always interesting, because when I'd go to CES for just seeing all the different manufacturers around, because they have phone manufacturers from everywhere. And ones you had never heard of brands, just phones you just see there, like, that's neat. Some that were like, just bling. Like, they just threw every kind of material they could at the outside of it, so it looked really fancy. Others that were trying to throw all of the, like, tech they could at it and say, like, look at all the things you can do with this phone and stuff like that. And there would be names that you never heard of that were just, oh, that's some Taiwanese company or a Chinese company or something like that. Weird. But a lot of times, and kind of what Serathis is saying, is some of those off-market ones or off-brand ones have every feature you could ever want in one of the phones. It's just, you don't know who they are or what they're doing. And so, it's a risk, right? Oh, I can get this and hopefully it'll work like I expect it to. Hopefully it'll connect like I expect it to. Hopefully all these things. But at the same time, you're like, but it might not. And that would suck. And so, it'll be interesting here. Definitely let us know, Serathis, how that goes. Because going into a phone is tech is like, because that's something I use every day. right? Anyhow, continuing your email. Also, the finalists are in for the ModDB and IndieDB votes of the year. The top 100 has been picked, so go ahead and vote for anything that grabs your attention. And he includes links that I will put into the chat right now since I have not been doing show notes appropriately. And so, see those on the screen and enjoy. So, those are links to the awards. And finally, one of the geekiest. So I've been following a webcomic by the name of Goblins for a while now. It's one of those fantasy dramedy things where things yo-yo between the lulls and horrible painful deaths for the side characters, and in some cases main ones. As it turns out, an animated adaptation has been planned for a while by Phil Lamar and Terrell Hunt, the comic creators. Sounds bad, right? We all remember how Control-Alt-Delete animated turned out, right? Spoilers, it was horrendous. So I have my reservations about Goblins animated, especially after the failed Kickstarter. But they are back on Indiegogo, and it seems to be going far better this time. Also, the cast they got: Samurai Jack, Fem Shep, Homer Simpson, and Bubbles, among others. They gathered a surprisingly strong cast to power this thing out. Go check it out, and providing the link as well to the Indiegogo for Goblins. So check that out, all from Serathis. Thank you very much for the Geek Cred, and I'm sorry that the initial phone failed. Hopefully it will do better this time. I really, really hope so. So awesome, and thank you very much for the message. All right, so the final thing that I wanted to chat for my Geek Cred this week is that I may have gone on opening night with lightsaber in hand to see the new Star Wars film.
Oh, meaning that I absolutely did. Sir. I'd be very upset.
I absolutely went. So, we have a very non-spoiler rule about things. We are good about not spoiling. We understand the geekiness and how much we all want to love the things we love. And so, no, I will not spoil the movie. I will say that I enjoyed it. I will say that I have seen and heard a lot of commentary all around it about how much people do and don't like different parts of the movie. Some people have loved every aspect of it, and some people I know on my friends list have said it is complete trash. With that in mind, know that there's a likelihood you may have all of those kind of experiences. For me, it was more middle line. I very much enjoyed the movie, but I also felt like there were a lot of scenes that were a little more meh to me, where it was like, this is not necessary at the moment, or the pacing is not what I'd like. It's a little dragging on. While setting up, as friends I talked about last night with it about, all leading up to what were pretty pinnacle awesome moments in the movie. Especially fight sequences and battles and things like that were all pretty damn epic. But for me, the things that led up to battles and such were a little like, okay, I understand what you're doing here, but I don't really care. But then suddenly great. As well as some roller coaster things with like genuine great humor that would be
I've heard a lot of that, actually. I've heard quite a few people say it's a very funny film.
Well, that's the thing. The problem is the film itself I don't think is funny, but it has some great funny moments in it throughout, where there are multiple elements of it that are funny. Whereas if I were to talk about Thor Ragnarok, that to me was just funny. Like throughout the whole thing, like surprisingly funny. And it felt more like a comedy movie as a whole while tons of good action and plot were in it. This one, it had elements of all of these different types of things throughout the movie. And so it was interesting. I will not put it up as one of my favorites of the Star Wars movies by any means. I'm still in the minority where I say that Episode 7 was the best Star Wars ever made. But I will say...
You are a rarity.
I know I am. I'm right, but I know I'm a rarity. And where some of the other ones, this one, I don't know where I'd put it yet. In how I'd hierarchy all of the Star Wars movies for me. And I need to go back through and kind of make my own list for how well I think they all did. But I enjoyed it. I don't feel the immediate pull to run back and see it again. But I will need to see it again. I've heard from others that they liked it much more the next time they watched it. But the experience was interesting because we went to an actual pre-showing kind of event, or a fan showing of it. And unfortunately, the tickets that we got, which were like $25 each to see this as being a fan special thing, not just seeing the show. So probably $10 more than most theaters. It was like, awesome, we can't wait to support Star Wars. This will be great. This should be a ton of fun. Got in there, And I feel like the theater hosting it didn't realize they were doing a fan event. Because...
What do you mean?
Well, so you pay extra money for extra things, and what they got us is they had this little sleeve of cards that were presented with the movie that are basically like collector cards that are from Topps, which is the old like baseball card maker and stuff like that, but Disney things. And so they have images like of a helmet that I have here. This one is Kylo Ren's ship. This one is one of the droids from it. I forget the exact note. And then on the back side of those same cards, they have like BB-8, another one of the newer characters in the movie or groups of characters, and then C-3PO. Awesome, right? Characters. Not $10, okay? This is just cool swag getting with going to a fan event.
That's a side thing, yeah.
Yeah, well, we had read online, and the entire, it was mostly Hyde's family all together that was doing this, had read online, her cousin and her mom and stuff, like all the details of what we were getting for this event. And part of it that what started this thing is as we came in is I brought my lightsabers. Because we had read on the site where it said no masks and no guns for props. But lightsabers are okay. Because it's very much a Star Wars thing. And so it was like, sweet, I can bring my lightsabers. Awesome, I'll wear some of my Sith outfit. I'll bring my lightsabers, it'll be great. No masks, no guns, perfect. Go in there. As soon as we went in and got our tickets, the people running it looked and said, like, younger kids and stuff started running theater were like, oh, sir, you can't bring those in here. I was like, what? Yeah, we're no lightsabers allowed or no anything like that. I was like, but the website where the tickets were purchased said yes. And so we had this kind of big back and forth with the people running like that, taking tickets and such, and what we said we had paid for the event. Eventually went to customer service, started talking to them, back and forth, and Hyde's cousin actually found and brought up on the website like the original, this is what we bought. And in there, it basically said, no, lightsabers are all right. And so they kind of balked a little bit where they said, well, we can't really find anything about it, but we'll let you do it. Just know in the future you might not be able to. Or like, whatever, I have them here. Because I was just as likely ready to go throw them in the car and be done with it. But it was kind of just an annoyance. Like, did you not realize this was part of what you advertised to us that we paid for?
Yeah.
So they gave us our little cards, and then the other piece of it was Hyde's mother was certain, and I didn't go back and find it myself, that it also included free popcorn. Again, we're getting into worth the extra $10, right?
Yeah, you know, well, that's the thing. You pay the $10 for a reason, right? You don't do it just for the
drink,
sake
popcorn, these little cards, and you're in there for the earliest showing. Yeah, that makes sense, right? All right, cool. They didn't see that either, and they were kind of like, what? I don't know what to talk about. So we did the same thing. Bring up the site, start talking, whatever, and they were kind of like, We're like, and they said, well, okay, we'll look it up, but you guys go sit. We won't keep you from getting your seats and stuff. Go ahead, we'll come to you. So we went in, and then after we got settled, Hyde and I went back out to grab refreshments, and we saw poor gal, give her credit, but at the same time, it was like, hey, we were all patrons and we paid for stuff. She had a cart loaded up with like medium popcorns for everyone in the theater, because we basically showed them that yes, everyone in here paid for that popcorn as well, and she was bringing it out for everybody. Get back settled, we got a drink, whatever, we got back settled, and they started handing them out. I don't think anyone else in the theater realizes that we were the reason they got everything that they were really supposed to.
Yeah.
And it felt like the staff, like there must have been a miscommunication in the process as a whole where they didn't realize they were hosting a fan event, right? And it's like, Star Wars, come on! Anyhow. The last
no, that's pretty pathetic on their companies. No, I don't blame the individual employees, right? Because I know that they had no idea, right?
They were trying to do their best, and I gave them credit. And it's a real busy day to have to deal with this. And admittedly, this was at a theater that's somewhat not as normally busy as some of the bigger ones in Denver. And so there are a lot of the factors to it. And we gave them some level of like, okay, we weren't mean about it, but we were insistent. And again, all the props to Hyde's mom and cousin to like chase this down. But in the end, we were proven correct doing this, and they were trying to do the right thing. And they jumped on it as soon as they realized that yes, these things were included. They did absolutely, and this manager gal jumped on like doing all this.
Good for her. Well done.
The last bit of it, though, is then as we're settled and we're in the kind of recliner seats that you get in the newer theaters stuff, or how they've been referred, leaning back a little bit, ready, have our drink and some food, and we're ready for the movie. As she's coming around passing out the popcorn, gets to us, leans over and starts leaning over to give Hyde popcorn, and it had like 2 bags in her hand and which I was reaching up to grab one of them. Looked as though I was grabbing one, so she started to let go. But we were on a miscommunication about which one I was grabbing and which one she was letting go. And so in doing so, she ended up dumping like half the bag of popcorn all over me. And it's entertaining because Hyde was witnessing that, and she told me after the fact she wasn't sure how I was going to react. Because at a concert we'd been at before, I had had beer spilled on me twice from a gal that was dancing behind us that was having a good time. But in doing so, I gave her the stank eye and basically said, like, that you have done that twice now, and got pretty angry about it, but didn't attack or anything. Just like, no uncertain terms. Watch it, kind of thing. You're being irresponsible.
There's a limit, right? There's a mistake, and then there's being a douche, right? Like careless.
Well, in this one, this girl was being careless, right? Being twice careless, not realizing what her actions were affecting at the concert. This gal totally saw what she was doing for the moment it happened, and she was just like, her eyes went to dinner plates, like, oh my god! And she recognized myself and Hyde as the ones who had been part of the group that were making sure everything was how it should be. And so she already knew we were very aware and kind of, because most of the rest of the people in the theater didn't realize that the popcorn was almost not going to happen. We knew.
So she knew that you were like a nice guy as well.
Well, not that I was a nice guy, but she knew that we were part of this whole, like, we want the right experience. And so when she dumped it and her eyes got huge, she was so instantly apologetic. Hyde was afraid I was going to go off on her. But at that point, I just I saw it coming to that it was about to happen, and I kind of just laughed the whole thing off and told her, I was like, I'm okay. Go ahead and continue doing what you're doing. Don't worry about me. But she was so like, and on top of things, she spilled popcorn on me. One of the people that was concerned about all this, right? And then I basically let her off the hook completely and told her it was fine and started eating the popcorn off myself. And let her continue on. And she did offer, like, is there anything else I can get you? Anything from the... I was just like, we're fine. Go ahead. And so it worked out fine in the end, but there was like that added little piece on it. Anyhow. So
then you didn't, because that's the thing. Like, how we deal with these kind of situations is how we are defined as people, I think. Because when you are not confronted with the time to prepare, or when you discuss in the classroom ethics, etc., it's very easy to say, "Oh, I'd always do the right thing." But when you're in the moment when you're angry and you have you're wronged in some way, it's easy to turn around and be angry at somebody and blame them for a transgression. But hey, you included the ethical thing, you laughed it off. You took a situation that could have made everybody's night sour, all your friends, all of her friends, everybody's, right? Employees and everything. And instead you said, hey, you know what? Stuff happens. Screw it. Let's have a nice night. And that's fantastic. That says a lot about you, sir. That's good.
I could have been worse. But it was fine in the long run, and it didn't take away from my enjoyment of the movie. And so it all worked out fine. But yeah, there were some moments there where it was just like, it's stacking up today, but it's all good. But led into the movie, watched the movie, enjoyed the movie for the most part. I have my criticisms, and I will look forward to when the embargo on talking about the new Star Wars is up, so that we can all openly discuss it. I think the official is like 3 weeks, is what many people have been saying, because the excitement. Normally we give about a month to be nice to people, but we'll see how far here. You definitely got till the new year before I will get into it. But we'll see how long after that, and I will warn people before we get into talking details about the new Star Wars. Because it's been interesting.
I really want to get on my TV. I really want to watch it in my 4K HDR TV. That's what I want. I don't want to see it in the cinema anymore. I want to see it in my little home cinema. That's what I want to do. Yeah.
No, it's something that I think would look beautiful on my new TV, on my new ridiculous television. And there were some scenes in it that were gorgeous. And so that part I'm not worried about. It's the movie itself and some of the pacing and plot and things where it's... And I will not talk more about it because I will have to spoil it if I go any further.
Well, so the only thing I want to bring up
talking about it.
Well, yeah. The only thing I wanted to mention is I had a friend who went to see it, and he said that it was absolutely beautiful, like in every which way, except that there was one CGI scene where it looks like it was kind of rushed, and on the big beautiful screen, it became obvious that it was like a hastily done thing, like went under budget or something. I don't know.
Well, some of it is also when you're doing certain looks of things that are so different or separate from what otherwise you would know. can come out that way, right? Where it's such a departure from what's normal or real that it can be like, that's obvious. So it's hard to say entirely. But yeah, there's some things, like, to me it's not the perfect movie, by all means. It's not. There are specific things I have criticisms on, but there's also specific things that I thought was done beautifully and can't wait to see again. So I had a bit of roller coaster in it, both in pacing, plot, and just some things where it's like, gosh, you could have done so much more with this, and you made it kind of cheap and easy and done. Because I'm not sure what their vision is for the last of this trilogy. Don't know. I'm sure people hearken this back in some ways to some other versions of the movies in the past, because out of order wise, I can see some scenes that are similar to maybe Empire Strikes Back and stuff like that, and even to Jedi or something, but it's still its own movie, I would say, and it's less so like 7, where people really equated it to the first trilogy, the plotline, or how I say it's basically the whole plotline from the original trilogy. This departs more from that, but it's still got some elements here and there. So I can see various people could pick it apart if they choose to, and I'm trying not to do that, because there are things about Star Wars that I really enjoyed. And again, the experience of it was great, because also the people I was hanging out with, the family that I got to go with, they are geeks in an amazing way, where they were celebrating by making like snacks and stuff with it, to the point of a giant cookie cake of BB-8. That was awesome.
That's sweet.
And Wookiee cookies, like oatmeal cookies that were decorated like Wookiees, and little TIE Fighter snacks and stuff like that. That was fun.
There's nothing
cool.
more attractive in a person. I don't mean like in the sense of romantically. I just mean as somebody who I would.
You can call me attractive. It's okay.
I mean somebody that would be like companionable, I guess. I don't even know if there's a word, but somebody who I would want to spend time with, people who care about their passions, people who are passionate. Yes. People who put in the effort with these kind of things. That to me is just like, I want to hang out with you,
Yes. Oh no, trust me. Anytime you run into things with people that you already care about, and it's kind of like, or just in their families and stuff like that, and you find out even more aspects of the geekiness or something that come out that are like, and that what? Yeah. Anyhow.
Neat.
But so that whole experience was just a blast, and it culminated when afterwards we sat there and watched the whole credits to see if there'd be anything else, and there were no after credit things. I'd heard maybe there would be, but there weren't. It's still it's a Star Wars movie. But having the lightsabers was so good during the entire series, where I just turn it on every once in a while before, and then once it was fully done and credits going, turn it on a little bit, like yay. But during the movie, totally quiet, being good. But after, went outside, and I brought both of my lightsabers and threw one to hide, and the two of us had a impromptu duel outside. Which was nice. Good. So part of the fun is that Hide in the Past has done some competitive, not truly just LARPing, but like AmpGuard, which is a group that does some actual weapon play out in the field, fight each other with safe weapons. As well as I've been training in ninjutsu with, and this month we're doing Kihon for sword, because to get ready for lightsabers. And so I had spent some time showing her how to properly hold a sword and some of the base cuts and things with that. So she is now way better prepared than she was prior. And so the duel we had was surprisingly good. And I had moments, and I'll give her credit that I think she got some good strikes on me that would have affected the fight. But it done in such a way that I actually came back with a feeling of success on my end, where I did better than I thought I would in reaction to some of the strikes coming at me, where it was kind of a affirmation of, oh, you mean the things I've been training for the last decade plus in ninjutsu actually can work?
Oh wait, actually that thing I've been putting all this effort to actually has, the part of my brain that is now reactionary. I don't have to think about it anymore.
Yeah, it kind of worked, and it was good. So anyhow, so that was all of like the geek that was going on with that, and having lightsaber duels was like icing on the cake of the whole event, and just it was geek and fun. And some gals from across the way actually came and wanted to take a picture of us just because we had the lightsabers with them, because they thought that was so cool. So that was just a lot of fun. So yeah.
So I know there's like lightsabers out there that are like collectible, but the ones I've only ever seen are like the ones that are sort of like really knockoff, like $3 sort of lightsabers. So are you using the sort of like more collectible, like looks like the real thing kind of lightsabers, like with fancy light ups or whatever? Or
so the ones I have are the ones that light up. Where did I put them? They're not in my room. It may be in the back of my car.
It could be anywhere.
It must be in the living room where I set them down. But mine light up. They have one of the first one I got, which was an Ultra Saber. There's a couple brands out there that are companies that make Saber Force, Ultra Saber. My newest one is a Kyber Light, which a lot have been advertised on social media. But they all basically provide dualable blades that are not the cheap plastic that you get out of a normal shop, but ones that are polycarbonate that actually allow for you to strike very well with them.
Nice.
They're not designed for you to try to break blades against each other, because anyone who's actually worked with swords and knows how they work, your goal is never to hit the sword.
No, it's all the damage to the sword.
Yeah, you don't want to dull, chip, or otherwise hurt your sword. The sword's there to cut your target, and your target is not their blade. And most what it is to deflect or move out of the way their blade so that you can get to the real threat, which is the person. And this is just a logic that is in all of the kinds of swordplay that are out there. But just throwing it out there that because with the katana it has a backing that is a solid bridge, the spine of it, and the front edge is the cutting edge. So what you do is whenever you actually strike another object with it that you're not trying to cut, you use the spine. And so you actually rotate in your hands and turn to bang the back of your sword against theirs to move it out of the way, as you then use the momentum of knocking them out of the way to progress yourself into cutting them themselves. It's why in real combat, you almost never get a true duel, sword-to-sword type duels like you'll see in movies. In real combat, you get a 1-2, you're dead. Almost all like true samurai battles and anything on the battlefield was click, click, dead. It's not bing, 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 oh no, bing, bing, bing. No, that fight has already gone too long. Because real masters aren't trying to hit blades, right? They're positioning, and what happens is the position finally gets to just the right moment where I'm close enough, I'm at the right angle that I can get you. And with a katana, like cut your jugular, or cut your wrist in a way that you can no longer handle your sword, and therefore now I can take you at my leisure. And so,
well, that's often the point with most professional fighting, I think, is that generally people expect it to go on for forever because they're equally matched or whatever. But really, it's as soon as one person makes one slip up, it's done, right? And that usually means that, it'll last like 5 seconds. Any professional fight. It's usually amateurs that last a lot longer, right?
Well, amateurs you can.
I say right because I don't actually know for sure.
Well, amateurs is different a lot of times because you'll either have it go faster because someone makes a gross mistake, or it'll take longer because neither person is fully committed and really ready to put themselves out there in a way that might hurt them. Masters, you will know when the fight's over, because unless the person is so amazingly good that as that moment hits where I do have the target and I can get to it, that they actually baited me in such a way that suddenly the target disappears, that's when you get to masters that could that happen, yes. But at that level, you're almost aware that it could happen, so you wait even longer. And then when you finally do the flourish of motion, usually that'll be it. Anyhow, that's my perspective. I could be wrong in some levels, but it's there. So, Kyber Light, Ultra Sabers, and Saber Force, or Forge. You can find them there, and they range everywhere from the cheapest I found was a grab bag off Ultra Saber for like $80, which gave me light, but it didn't really give me all the other benefits of like sound, motion, things like that. Where Kyber Light, being new kids on the block, we're trying to provide not as much movie like ones that look like movie prop ones, but just customizable ones, so you can change colors, sleevings, and little baubles on it to make it look more yours. But they do it at a much cheaper price point, because like that cheap, less than $100 Saber Forge or Ultra Saber will give you a light up lightsaber that you can bang against each other. That's about it.
It's cool.
I, from Kyber Light, got a fully functional one where it had built-in lithium-ion battery that you can plug in through just an extra plug to charge. Comes with lights, multiple color lights, so you can hit a button and it changes color of the blade between multiple lights. Sound, so you kick it on, it powers up and whoosh, and does the whole kind of sound the whole time. And when you strike, mine will flash white, and it'll actually change the sound to go like psh, psh. So it gives you the whole effect of it. A similar type one to what I got from Kyber Light from Ultra Sabers that other friends of mine have purchased cost them about $500. Where for me, from Kyber Light, I got all of it for about $250. But that's the key. You can go just looks, you can go full functionality, all these things. They have a lot of options on the sites. Check out any and all of those sites and find the blade you like. Some of them are very much replicas from what you would get at, or from what you see in the movies. Some are basically almost licensed versions or very similar. So it just depends what you want to do. But the ones I get are all meant to be used. So I can use them kind of as swordplay. And I just think it's really freaking cool.
That is cool. Yeah, especially since you're actually going to occasionally do that with people, you know? Like, that is part of your other hobbies, so it's kind of worth the investment because you can actually enjoy it fully.
Oh, yeah. So that's like the overall geek and what was happening to me around Star Wars,
that's
The Last Jedi. And
I'm excited to see it.
I am not going to tell people yes or no to go see it. Go see it. If you're interested, go see it. If not, no biggie. I'm going to try to wait from broadcasting out my opinions till after the new year, maybe a week after that, and then we'll talk. So be prepared for that. I'll put out a heads up ahead of time, so if people who want to come in and we can have a whole 2-hour show discussing our likes, dislikes, or what we thought about the movie, and you're all welcome to participate in that. But we'll schedule that for after the new year. So cool. So that's pretty much my geek, and I enjoyed it. It was fun, and I want to talk more about it because I've heard so many differing opinions, and I want to kind of dig into what those opinions are. All right, so it is time to us to switch over from our geek to the world of geek with
technology, news, and more today on the Geekoscope.
And for me, today on the Geekoscope, I'm going to start things off with a subject that we'll see how long it goes. But you guys may have been following some of the news about what's been going on in tech in the U.S.
Yes, U.S. specifically. And to be fair, it is affecting the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Even if it's not tech itself, I guess.
So, for those who don't realize or don't know, the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission here in the United States, put forth, and this is famously through FCC chairman, essentially, put forth their findings on whether or not to roll back the Obama administration FCC rulings for net neutrality. Meaning, for those who don't know, and if you're listening to us and you should have some awareness, net neutrality, the idea that everything on the internet should be treated equally and fairly as long as it is legal content. Thus, nobody having the ability to block, limit, or allow others extra access to any information on the internet. That it should all be the same. And so, therefore, and the way this translates to is ISPs, internet providers, not having the ability to legally offer you different levels of access to the internet depending on however it gets monitored. Be it...
Or just generally controlling your access, right?
Like, well, and that's what they don't talk about, right? Is that this does, without net neutrality, there's the potential for companies to not allow you access to parts of the internet. Or to do it in such a way that they slow some sites down so much you wouldn't want to go to them, so that they could instead provide you those that they partner with, have deals with, have been paid for, to then give you sex, and basically forcing people or limiting and pushing people towards specific parts of the internet, which is not anything anyone I have found wants, except for big companies who find ways that they could better monetize you because now they have control. And so
have you seen all the stuff about all these dead people that have been voting apparently?
Oh, well, so what it was is the FCC got an open thing, and they have to do it where they have to consider the opinions of people, everyone out there. And one of the controversies that came out is that a large group of what looked like bot-type submissions were made on the FCC site that had very similar language. Now, admittedly, that happened on both the positive and negative side. But when looked further into, a lot of the positive ones, meaning we want net neutrality, don't take it away from us, were form letters that people could sign up for and send to them, but were real people. One of the challenges on the opposite side is a good 1 million+ votes that were kind of put in there in support of getting rid of net neutrality, all originated from basically the same IP. A lot of them came from within the FCC. Let's talk about conflict of interest, but let's not. Anyhow, so a lot of controversy around it, and regardless, the main individual was Ajit Pai or something that is in charge of the FCC right now, the chairman, who was appointed to chairman by the current administration, was brought into the FCC under the previous administration, but was not chairman at the time, has openly mocked, said, and otherwise given up, saying that he doesn't care what people said, they're doing what they want. So his consideration of the mass support for keeping net neutrality rules in place was, oh, that's nice, I don't care. So he is not representing the people. He's representing big companies that are ISPs. He came from Verizon. Anyhow, they voted 3-2 across partisan lines, essentially, to work to repeal the net neutrality rules and to thus take away our protection that the internet will be free and open for all of us.
It is questionable why. It sounds like it's motivated by interest for big business and not for people, not what's best for people, because it was protected under Title II rules about it being a public service, having the internet, that everyone needs it to survive, which I believe in. Anyhow, so that's happened. Now, brighter note. There are already a ton of lawsuit and things ready and set up to fight this the moment they did exactly what we all knew they were going to do. So EFF, Electronic Freedom Foundation, a bunch of other groups have all filed suits across the board saying this is illegal, don't do it, it's bullshit. On top of that, there's just a ton of stories coming out about how people have been reacting to this. And again, I don't know anybody who's in favor of this. The only people I know who say it's a good thing are hardline, basically conservatives who are trying to say it's good for business and that somehow this will create better business for us.
The people I've heard say is good is people who just don't understand what it does, right? People who
there's people who have no idea what it is. And this is more scary because these are people that sound like are voting along party lines. Because even friends of mine who should be knowledgeable have made comments basically that they don't understand it, but they were leaning towards getting rid of the net neutrality rules because that's what they thought they heard was a good thing. Which tells me they're listening to one source, which is the current party line source, Faux News. And in doing so, that's because the only commentary I've ever seen in favor of it has come from very conservative right-wing sites and stuff like that, because that's the party line issue. Anyone who just likes the internet is against what they did. And so there's up in arms about this. Now, hopefully, these lawsuits will show that it's a bunch of crap, and they won't be able to just turn things out right away. One article I want to bring up in particular, just an interesting tidbit I saw, was from the Washington Post. And it has a quote on it, an article where it says, "A Jedi you are not. Mark Hamill slams lightsaber-wielding FCC chair over net neutrality." Because the other thing is the FCC chair tries to act as though he's a geek and that we should like him. And he is favorable, right, for not. Him. Yeah. Well, it's just, it's so bad. So in this one it says, among the many potential consequences of the FCC repeal of net neutrality, perhaps none was as unpredictable as Star Wars marquee actor questioning the Jedi worthiness of the commission's share. But that's exactly what happened Saturday when Mark Hamill, best known for playing Luke Skywalker, took a shot at FCC chairman Ajit Pai, who earlier in the week had dressed up as Santa Claus and filmed a bizarre video outlining, quote, the 7 things you can still do on the internet after net neutrality. Ah! Let me go on with the rage of you having the gall to even make a effing video like that. You worm. You little shite. How... He's such a little idiot. Words I cannot say. Continuing on, though, it says the video, as a, quote, dad jokey as they come, included footage of Pai reassuring viewers that they can still, quote, gram their food even without Obama-era regulations that prevented internet providers from speeding up some websites and throttling or blocking others. Among other head-scratching scenes, Pai also hugged a puppy and danced to the Harlem Shake to convince viewers that they could still, quote, drive memes right into the ground. You out of touch... But the scene Hamill publicly took issue to was the one in which Pai donned a black hoodie and swung a lightsaber around while the Star Wars theme played in the background. And he says, and the chairman said, you can still stay part of your favorite fandom. Hamill struck back and said, quote, cute video, Ajit, aren't I precious Pai? Hamill tweeted sarcastically along with vomiting emoji before declaring that the FCC chief was profoundly unworthy of wielding a lightsaber. A Jedi acts selflessly, not for the common man, not lie to enrich giant corporations, Hamill wrote.
Nice. Yeah. Gotta be careful though, because that can be lawsuit. That can be seen as slander, right?
No, that is opinion. And just saying you're not a Jedi, that's not a business thing. That's true. That's not lowering his brand. He works for the people. F him. He's in a position that is not a company or corporation. He works for the government. F him. So no, Mark Hamill could not be liable for any kind of defamation on him. I will defame him all day long for being a corporate stooge and someone who should not have access to my freedoms. I am a little hot about this.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyhow, Hamill also questioned whether Pai had paid composer John Williams any royalties for the use of the Star Wars theme song in the video, which was published Wednesday by the conservative news site Daily Caller. The video, which used music from several copyrighted sources, prompted an online protest led by producer and DJ Harry Rodriguez, who created the, quote, Harlem Shake. Obviously, did it get permission, Pai? Obviously, you don't know how the internet and legal things work, you ass.
I sincerely hope it's taken down because of this. That'd just be kind of a nice irony, you know. Let him feel what it's like to have,
have these things thrown back at him.
Of the internet.
Yeah. Well, and so part of that came out saying official statement said the use of the Harlem Shake in the Daily Caller's video. The FCC chairman Ajit Pai, neither Mad Dissent nor Bauer approved this use, nor do we approve of the message contained therein. We have issued a takedown. Will pursue further legal action if it is not removed.
Nice. That makes me happy.
So it is nice to hear because, again, every real person in the world hates what this chairman did.
Oh, he's a piece of crap. Like, he's just lying through his teeth and just smiling about the money lining his pocket now, you know? That's all it is. He's definitely been paid off for this.
It is so bad. It is so bad. So part of me wants to basically say I wish I could apologize for what my government is doing. But the people didn't ask for this. The people said no. This is one arsehat and his colleagues next to him in the FCC who did this solely for themselves and for the interests of the people they support, which is not the people. It is the handful of corporations that stand to make a buck off this. And so It is super frustrating that they did this. But the lighter side of this is that the likelihood that this will actually happen is fairly low unless they get some really partisan judges that have to see the cases about it. Because anything that even touches with the outcry of what the popular belief is and what the country wants is in support of net neutrality.
What really disgusts me is the fact that it happened in the first place, though. I mean, the fact that these people have a position of power and are supposed to represent the people of the U.S. and didn't, right? That's the disgusting thing.
Oh, yeah. Just, ooh. So
and plus, it's that these companies are going to be making money out of nothing. It's like putting tolls on roads that have already been paid for, right?
And that's what basically is discussed, is that it's very much like some of the roads that have been built here in Colorado now, where there's the free lanes that you can use. That is what you pay for when you pay for taxes on gas, your registration on your vehicle, and things like that. That you're paying for access to the roads. So that's your normal dial-up fee or your monthly fee for your ISP today, is access to the roads. Without net neutrality, the ability for them to create a fast lane on the side, which is what they do with toll roads here, where you're still paying the same fee you paid before, but now you're paying additional money to get to the content you already had access to, but in a way that makes sense or is faster or clean and stuff like that. So that's where it all comes together as a no, get off it. I really wish, and one of the proponent things that Aqua and I talked about was, I really wish all local municipalities in the United States would claim eminent domain on their infrastructure. Meaning that they would say all the fiber that's in the ground belongs to us, the people, and the state or the city or the village, and not the companies that put it there. Because company land is on the company's private property. But when you put wires under our streets, that's not yours. And so I want cities to actually say that. And then work on building municipal ISPs.
The problem here is, I think this comes up to a philosophical debate at this stage, no longer a technical one, really. Because I believe all these things that all people should have access to, like the internet, water, food, healthcare, should all be socialized, right? I mean, it should all be paid. Everybody should have a basic access level. I mean, the capitalist point comes in when you pay for tiers, right? Like everybody should have by default a 1 meg internet access. Everybody by default should have emergency healthcare, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you need to be your life saved, it should be there. If you need basic drugs, that should be free. All that stuff should be free. But if you want to get cosmetic surgery, you want really fast internet, etc., then pay extra.
You can always provide more, and companies can streamline interfaces that why you would choose that company versus another company. I'm in support of that capitalist view completely. But when you have monopolies, I don't. because I don't have access to any more than 2 ISPs right now, and they're in collusion with each other. And so it's garbage. I can't get gigabit internet where I'm at right now because no other company can come in and put the fiber down unless the major one in the local area allows it. And so that's where this is such an important issue and such crap that people... I'm mad that more people aren't honestly aware of it and know what the real, potential problems of these rulings are. Because one of the challenges also, the FCC is supposed to have to prove why this decision is in the better... or why it's better for people than not. It's supposed to be part of their process. Is you don't just willy-nilly go around throwing up or out regulations. You have to make a case for why this is important to do. Mm-hmm. And just because they say because they want to isn't an answer. And
Absolutely
the wishy-washy stuff they said about it will improve the investment in infrastructure and stuff that ISPs would do because they'd feel like they have a monetization reason to do so is garbage. Because we know they don't do it unless they have competition that comes and forces them. And so if you gave me municipal ISPs that everyone had, like you said, at least 1 megabit internet access, although I would argue 10 megabit type thing or something, because, I'm talking megabit, not megabyte. Megabit, 10 megabit minimum to the house for everyone. And then if ISPs want to offer the 100 megabit package or the gigabit package, okay. Now there's actual competition and we can talk. But right now, that doesn't exist. I am so livid about this whole discussion, and I can't believe it's something that we keep having to revisit. Like, why did this even come up? And the only thing I come up, and it sucks, is because it comes to partisan, where it's because we have an administration in the United States right now that is trying to do more things to just piss on any work that was done prior, because anything attached to the name Obama must be evil. That it's not
people
because...
fall for it. People are going for it.
Well, and that's the problem, is they don't actually say, is this who asked for this? The only thing we can see is because it's another thumb in the nose of the previous administration. Not because anybody needed this, and it's because they look at this weak opportunity that these, essentially the lobbyists and the companies that are paying for all this have this opportunity with this steamroll approach that the administration has in there to do all the things they always wanted to do to screw regular people, to milk every last penny they can from our money lines and what we pay. And that they're just using it, and that we have a stooge of an administration out there right now that just works for big business and is somehow towing a line that is convincing people that it's good. I don't get it. And I try not to be political, but when we talk about technology and something like this that is such a no-brainer, all I can answer is that it's politically motivated, why these decisions are being made. That it's not for the betterment of anyone else. That's all I can see, and maybe I'm wrong. And I open it up to everyone out there. Email in at showx@vtwproductions.com and let me know why I'm wrong. Maybe I'm missing something, and it's blatantly obvious to you what I'm missing. I'm happy to have the conversation about it, because right now it blows my mind.
I mean, that's the thing. Hey, we may have our opinions on this, but we are always open to opposing opinions because that's how we learn. And I think it's important not to have an echo chamber. So while Wayne and I both have the same opinion here, please do chime in. We're not going to chide you for having a different opinion. We would very much welcome it. In fact, we really enjoy somebody having a different opinion, and we could really get into it. So please don't feel afraid. We would genuinely, really want to hear from you.
Exactly. And it's one of those things, that's about any subject, anything you hear us talk about, please be critical of us. We can't improve if we don't know what to improve on. So do that. I do want to bring up, because the sales thing came out, and I know I'm about to run into the end of the show, I want to give you a chance to bring up an article that's important to you, Ken. But Kuro also mentioned in the IRC that we're in the winter sale season right now. Right now, the big one's on GOG, GOG.com, so good old gaming. Another big one that I ran into by accident, I was meaning to bring up, thank you, Kuro, for reminding me, is the Oculus store. Oculus actually is having a big sale right now on a bunch of titles. I picked up like 3 or 4 other little ones that were like 75% off, just as little things to show off and kind of game. One of which was Voltron. They have a Voltron VR experience that I can't wait to look at. From the new animated series from DreamWorks. It looks so good. So check out all the sales that are going to be happening as we get into the whole winter season here. But Ken, any article you'd like to bring up before we run out of the show today?
I have about 6 or 7 open, but let me try and choose one. Let's go with this one. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds creator wants better protection from copycat games. So yeah, this has been all over the news this week. So Brendan Green, aka PlayerUnknown, wants to see... Sorry, I just kicked my own microphone. Jesus. wants to see better protection from copycat games following a spate of titles adopting the Battle Royale template repopularized by his game Battlegrounds. Which, by the way, is kind of funny, but considering that his game was kind of a copy of another one, and so on. There's no such thing as an original idea, right? And plus, look at League of Legends, look at World of Warcraft. Like, if you have a game that kind of inspires a genre, genres are kind of defined by the fact that there are multiple different games, and competition is kind of important. We didn't have the first plane made by the Wright brothers, and they go, well, that's it, no more innovation allowed. We gotta just keep it the way it is, boys. We're gonna have to get a plane per person. That's still the way to do it. Right? I mean, that's kind of important to have this kind of like the fact that they were first in means that they got first grabs. That was their bonus, right?
Yep.
They don't get to say nobody else has to try.
And here's the argument about this. What's crazy about that, right? Because PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds is taking the Battle Royale idea that came from, Battle Royale, the original Japanese show or movie, let alone Hunger Games that popularized it in the U.S. That is basically a blatant ripoff of that. But at the same time, it's a genre. It's a type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a childish thing to do, because basically what this is, it's against Fortnite. The free game Fortnite, because it's free to play, a lot of people jumped on it. Well, it seems to have basically the same kind of gameplay as PlayerUnknown Battleground. And in some ways they cartoonized it a little bit and did some other things to make it perhaps more fun than what PlayerUnknown initially started with.
Or perhaps quicker to produce, or perhaps
various things,
cheaper to make. Or
Yep, various things. And so, as Hando's bringing up, Fortnite is currently eating PUBG's lunch. Arguably, they're still doing very good, both of them. They're all doing very good. But it's a challenge of, like, you might have been first, and it's just like anything copyright stuff. I'm a big fan of competition. You have a moment to make it yours and do something with it. After that, it's public domain, and let everyone innovate and make it better for the better good of everyone. And I hate how copyright and stuff is today, because they've taken that away from most of us.
And patenting especially.
Patenting and copyright is just terrible, what they're doing. Trademarking, all that stuff. It's bad. It should be, you got 6 months to maybe 2 years or 3 years on something to make a profit from it. After that, it should be public domain. Everyone can do it, and they can do it better. Then too bad. Oh gosh, there's an entire joke section of Reddit for Ajit Pai. That's hilarious. Thank you, brother.
There's a subreddit on that, is there? Great.
That's hilarious. I need to look at that. Thank you for sharing. 83,000 upvotes. Is that on the video, Kuro, or is that on what Babs put? Or 89,000. Interesting. I'll have to look at these things you're sharing. Thank you. But yeah, no. Any game out there, it seems like you are potentially saying that you're already failing if you have to go to like making an argument about legality of things to try to protect an idea when it wasn't even yours in the first place. So PUBG, shush. How about you release a few extra maps and do something to draw people to your game instead of trying to piss on other games?
So to be fair, in another article I found, which this one's from IGN, he also goes on to say, this is the actual owner of PUBG, Green. He came out and said, if it's just copycats down the lines, then the genre doesn't grow and people get bored. So what he's saying specifically is, it shouldn't just be people who are playing like literal copycats. They should be their own thing. So that I can get on board with, right? That's fair enough.
That's fair. But it's still, because of specifically what they're talking about, Fortnite does have differences. It just feels...
Mainly in the fact it's free to play.
Yeah, and if your monetization is wrong, then, someone might out-monetize you. Yep. There's lots of aspects to fight on. There's an argument to be had that, that's very close to. It's the same discussion between Overwatch and Paladins, right? Paladins is free to play. Overwatch absolutely is not. But why is Overwatch doing so well? Because Blizzard still has a level of polish it's able to put on a game that people love it. Where Paladins does fine and is doing well, it will never beat Overwatch. So PUBG, do that. Be the pinnacle of the gaming genre. Don't be working still on an old, outdated engine that is buggy as heck. Either, fix that, make it a solid, good game that people want to come to yours because yours is best. That's how you win. Stay on top of the market. But, it's silly to me to see people go to a legal, or kind of, it's not necessarily a suit, but a crying that there should be a suit or something.
Yeah.
Basically, needs more protections because I don't have a good enough game yet. And I enjoy PUBG, but come on. It's terrible. Yeah. All right, you have time for probably a little bit one more.
Yeah, sure. Crytek is now suing Star Citizen developer.
Speaking of,
for unlicensed use of CryEngine.
All right, so this is one that I had to talk about earlier in the week because we were discussing at work. because Star Citizen, and actually this leads into another thing I was saying, because we're working on doing the Star Citizen VTW guild, our clan, and starting to build it up bigger for the 3.0 release when it comes to market here shortly. But we were looking at logo stuff today. The suit is interesting because essentially Crytek said they had very specific legalese on how Star Citizen could use their engine, and they are complaining that Star Citizen has gone way far beyond what those were. Partially, they said they would do an exclusivity act of using the Crytek engine when building the game. Well, then they moved over to Amazon's Lumberyard, which Lumberyard is a variation of the Crytek engine that has a bunch of additional added into it, like additions and things and tweaks into it. Interesting. So I don't know the legalese of how that exactly works, because it is the Crytek engine, just under a different name. It's still licensed through Crytek to be Lumberyard through Amazon. Well, I don't know. So that's interesting. Also, that they would only release one game with it, and once they announced that they split out Squadron 42 as a separate entity from Star Citizen, it got to the question of, did they breach that part of the contract that says more than one game? So the challenge is, there's an injunction, or they're trying to put in there, basically Crytek saying, we want all of this money because you've already made over $160 million and the game's not out yet. But it's also signed in the thought that Crytek is doing very poorly right now. And so is this their...
It might be an attempt, yeah.
Yeah, they're clawing for money that would keep them going. The other side is that we haven't heard anything from the Star Citizen side. We've only heard things from Crytek, which of course is trying to make its case. You can see equally, though, on the Star Citizen side where there may be some argument back. Now, Star Citizen and Chris Roberts may have done some things that could get them in trouble. I'm not throwing them under the bus yet to say that they've done anything that's going to absolutely sink Star Citizen, because that was one of the things people were trying to latch onto. Oh no, this suit, Star Citizen's done, it's never going to come out. Nope, they failed. No. They still have more money than Jesus.
And that's clearly part of the Okay, the reason this is public, the reason there's news articles, the reason we're talking about it is because somebody wanted this to be in the news, right?
Yep.
So and it probably means that Crytek are saying, hey, we really need to put the pressure on this company to try and get our chances of getting some money off them. So let's harm their sales. Let's harm the public opinion of them, and that's what this is doing, right? That's literally what this is doing. Whether there's a reason behind it or not, whether it's a fair suit or not, just the people's opinion, it can be even more damaging than the suit itself, right?
Oh, changing a reputation and bringing someone's name down could be huge, as we had hinted out before about libel issues and stuff. So, interesting. We'll see how it plays out. My response to the article is just, don't cry that the sky is falling yet. I have yet to see anything that says Star Citizen is going to suffer from this. Because in all honesty, everything that's been invested in the game is profitable already. If they lost some of their profit, the game still should come out. So, anyhow, that, though, does take us to the end of the show. And I appreciate, Ken, you bringing that up. Because I'd seen that one and was like, oh yeah, forgot about that one.
It's a good one.
All right, so if you could let us out for the day.
Sure, you can listen to Show X on VTWRussians.com. We should be here next week, but we will see.
In some form or another.
Yeah, in some form or another. Check us out on Twitter, twitter.com/VTWShowX, or just Show X, sorry. Twitter.com/DocDead, and Twitter.com/GoHex for the show, for Mr. Wynn here, and for myself. You can also check us out on Facebook by just searching for Show X, easy peasy, and then you can hang out with us there. That's where we post most of our stuff. Really, we don't really use the Twitter, but we use the Facebook quite a lot.
Yes.
You can send emails to showx@VTWRussians.com, and that's neat. You can support us financially as well by going on to patreon.com/showx and give us, I think it's a minimum of $1 per month. So $12 a year for a minimum
keeping our lights on.
Yeah, dozens of hours of show per year. It's not bad for $12, right?
Yes. Heck, that's not even $1 a show.
That's like a tenth of minimum wage.
It's a quarter a show-ish and less if you've been entertained.
Yeah, exactly.
Which we get to not split, because even if we did try to cut the pennies in half for us to be able to take anything of, all it does is pay the costs of website and hosting and things like that to keep everything going.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
And hardware and software and all that.
Yeah, we have got like a light
stuff
or two that we're able to look prettier with. So, all right.
Indeed. So yeah, do all that stuff and check out the art contest as well. Find people out there. Don't forget to do your artsy things. And yeah, have a good next week in the lineup to Christmas and stuff, people. We look forward to seeing you next week.
Absolutely. And since it'll be Christmas next week, feel free to send us lists of like what you hope to see for Christmas. All right. We'll catch you guys next week. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Ken, for joining me. As always, much appreciated. You guys have a lovely week. Get some gaming in. Check out some sales. We look forward to seeing you again next time. With that, you've been listening to Show X on VTWProductions.com. And we are out of here. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye. See you in the next zombie.